In 2012, a teen would vanish after leaving her mother's home, only to lead to dark family secrets breaking the news, and leaving many wondering what was happening for decades to this young woman and the others around her.
Still no answers.
9 years ago today.
What happened to these two young children?
Remains a mystery.
Urgent story unfolding right now. Who is missing? An unsolved murder.
"19-year-old Brittney Nicole Wood was born on September 25th of 1992 to her father Wally and mother Chessie. She also had a brother named Derek. Although there is not much information out there as to who Brittney was, her likes, hobbies, and personality, she was raised in the south of Tillman's Corner, Alabama, an area outside of Mobile. What we do know about Brittney is that her childhood wasn't an easy one. Sadly, she experienced things that no child should have experienced, that no person should ever experience. At only 9 years old, Brittney was essayed by her maternal grandmother's boyfriend named Ronald Robertson, who had actually been at the hospital the day she was born. This was a secret Brittney kept for a few years until she eventually reported it to a daycare director at Travis Road Baptist. According to a police report, the worker said Brittney asked her if she could talk to her, but she was afraid that someone would get hurt. She said Brittney wrote a note and told her, quote, "He touched me in a bad spot," end quote. When Brittney was 12 years old, she testified against her abuser at his trial, including a time when she was being abused and had told Ronald she was thirsty in an effort to try to get away from him. When he finally told her to get something to drink and come back to the room, she left the bedroom and attempted to hide to call her grandmother. Ronald, however, found the naked girl hiding in the garbage can and told her to get back to his room. He was eventually sentenced to life in prison. As Brittney got older, the pain and trauma began to be too much to deal with, and she sadly turned to drugs to numb herself. As a teen, she began bouncing from one relative's home to another. And when asked, Chessie would later say that her daughter would have been safer in her crack house than the environment in which she was raised. Being the oldest daughter, though, Brittney had a special relationship with her mother. She also had a great relationship with her father, as well as her stepmother, Stephanie Hank. At only 17 years old, Brittney would give birth to her daughter Peyton. Just 3 weeks before she vanished, Brittney would be pictured attending her daughter's second birthday party. Her daughter is said to be her heart and soul. On May 30th of 2012, between 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Brittney left her mother's home, located on Leonardo Drive in Tillman's Corner near Mobile, Alabama. The last time Chessie would see her daughter alive was while she was standing in the front yard as Brittney came out the front door with a pink or teal-colored tote. She walked across the front yard saying she was going to her friend Courtney's home. She then walked down the street until her mother could no longer see her. Now, Chessie has given a few different statements as to what Brittney's mood was like when she left her home that day. In early interviews, Chessie explained that Brittney was in a good mood and seemed fine when she left the home. In later statements, though, she would say that Brittney seemed aggravated and frustrated when she left, telling her mother that she wouldn't understand and that she'd be back later. And it wasn't unusual for Brittney to be gone for days at a time. So no one was really alarmed when she didn't show up home later that night or even the following day. But 2 days after Brittney was last seen, which was now June 1st, her uncle, Donnie Holland, was found inside of his SUV in a secluded area of the woods near his home with a gunshot wound near the back of his head. The area was a secluded clearing overlooking Fish River in the Marlow community of South Baldwin. The first medical responder to the scene that afternoon was Fish River Marlow Fire Chief Gib Hickson. He said that Donnie was alive but struggling to breathe in the bloody SUV. A MedStar EMS ambulance crew then transported him to the yard of a nearby home, where a medevac helicopter landed and ferried him to the hospital in Pensacola, Florida, where he eventually succumbed to his injuries 3 days later. But in the end, his death would be ruled an unaliving. After hearing the news about Donnie, Brittney's family began attempting to contact her to notify her about his death, but nobody could get a hold of her. So family then called the friend that she had mentioned going to visit. And this is when her family would learn that Brittney had never went to visit that friend that day. She had never arrived. Still unable to reach her, her family eventually grew worried and ended up filing a missing persons report on June 2nd. It would turn out in the end that Brittney had never went to see that friend Courtney. Instead, she had actually gone to see her uncle Donnie, who had actually picked her up at the end of Leonardo Drive. It's then that the two would end up driving approximately an hour to a home on Waterworld Road, a rural area near Styx River in Robertsdale. Her stepmother Stephanie would say that it wouldn't have been out of the ordinary for Britney to spend time with her Uncle Donnie, and that he'd picked her up from their home several times. Records indicate that Britney was also communicating with friends via text messages and phone calls throughout the day and evening, but communications seemed to stop around 11:30 p.m. that day. At 11:36 p.m., all incoming calls began going to voicemail. The last time Britney's phone pinged was at 1:47 a.m., now May 31st, in Styx River. Meanwhile, family held a vigil at Travis Road Baptist Church, where family, friends, and the community prayed for her safe return. The Class Kids search team also announced to join in the search for Britney, the founder of the search group being Mark Class, the father of 12-year-old Polly Class, who was kidnapped and murdered in 1993. Tony Dickey, a spokesperson for the Wood family, said that Class Kids was expected to begin searching an area around Styx River in Baldwin County, near where the last transmission from Britney's cell phone was located. After his sister's disappearance, her brother Derek had emerged as a family leader of sorts in looking for Britney, heading early searches for her in the Styx River area where her cell phone last pinged. At the time of the searches, his mother described Derek as Britney's protector. Search and rescue units from Florida's Escambia County and Alabama's Monroe County joined more than 70 volunteers to comb a 5-mile area. The search focused on the wooded area where Britney's cell phone had pinged. The search would come with its own difficulties, however, as rain soaked the area, making terrain difficult to explore, and hundreds of snakes were also deterring searchers. The Baldwin County Sheriff's Office would also send deputies to search Waterworld Road, however nothing was found at this location. Officers stating, quote, "The road runs parallel to Interstate 10 and is a few hundred yards at best off the interstate. We don't know if she was with her cell phone or if she was passing through on the interstate. We don't have anything to lead us to believe that she's in Baldwin County." End quote. In the days leading up to Britney's vanishing, it would turn out that she had actually been messaging someone on Facebook who was also SA'd, because it would turn out that her uncle also had SA allegations. So this led authorities to wonder if the day of her disappearance, if Britney had gone to see her uncle to confront him about those allegations. It would also turn out that Donnie had been found 30 minutes before a scheduled meeting with former Baldwin County investigator Eric Winberg to discuss his ongoing SA investigation. Inside of his SUV, Britney's handgun turned out to be found, along with her cell phone battery, leading to the theory that he may have been shot with Britney's gun. A friend would later confirm that Britney had actually obtained this handgun shortly before her disappearance for protection. Looking at all of this, it led a lot of people to wonder, did Donnie kill Britney and then turn the gun on himself because he didn't want to face charges? Chessie has been very outspoken about accusing her sister Wendy Holland, as well as her brother-in-law Donnie, of killing her daughter. Because if they know anything, Britney simply would not have just ran away and abandoned her daughter. But as I mentioned in the beginning, Britney wasn't born into a very quaint, picture-perfect family. It was quite the opposite, actually. And as more and more information came out, it got more and more terrifying. Because just weeks after her disappearance in mid-June, 4 men in Britney's family, along with a male family friend, were accused of sex crimes. On June 19th, Baldwin County deputies arrested 2 of Britney's uncles, Randall Scott Wood and Dustin Kent. Both were charged with sodomy, SA, and incest. Dustin's wife, Mendy, is another sister of Britney's mother, Chessie. She's the identical twin of Donnie Holland's widow, Wendy, but it didn't end there. Britney's 21-year-old brother, Derek, would also be arrested for SA and sodomy. Like Britney, Derek had spent a lot of time with their Uncle Donnie as a child, sometimes days at a time, often at the beach or at the Holland family's hunting camp, located near Stockton, Alabama. Britney's step-cousin, 20-year-old Donald Paul Holland Jr., would also be charged with SA and incest on July 17th, followed by a family friend, William Billy Brownlee, on July 22nd for similar charges. By October, another family friend named Nelton Morgan was charged with first-degree SA of a child less than 12. A female family member named Jennifer Moore was also charged with second-degree SA and production of CSAM. Britney's 33-year-old aunt, Wendy Wood Holland, was then charged in the following months with endangering the welfare of a child, first-degree sodomy, sexual torture, and SA. Her identical sister Mendy would also face charges of second-degree sodomy and SA of a child less than 12. Another uncle, named James Comba, was charged with second-degree sodomy and SA of a child less than 12. The Baldwin County ADA, Teresa Hines, has also commented on these allegations and charges, stating, quote, You'd be surprised how many of them have prior allegations. Nothing happened. You have to wonder what wouldn't have happened to these children if something had been done, and Britney still might be alive." End quote. Every person around Britney was a monster. These children were not protected in this family, and it seemed to be a cycle that just kept continuing and continuing. And we've seen that happen with Britney's brother Derek. Derek would later say in a documentary that he had also been a victim of the ring of sick individuals surrounding them, claiming that around the age of 6 to 7 years old, he had been essayed by Donnie and Wendy, the abuse continuing into his teen years. From jail, Derek would say, quote, "It would be some of their friends, older women would come over. They would get involved, and Donnie would take pictures and coerce me into what I was doing. But as far as family members, it was just Donnie and Wendy." End quote. Derek's charges stem from an incident that took place when he was 18 years old, claiming that Donnie had given him alcohol and then paid him money to participate in the abuse of a cousin that was ages 12 to 16 years old. Derek denied having sex with the victim, but did say he touched certain places and stuff like that. Derek also says he told investigators what took place in order to try to stop it from continuing happening, claiming, quote, "I would say between the intoxication, the bribery, and just the way he can manipulate people's minds and intimidate folks, I think probably a bundle of that all put together. If I hadn't have drunk what I drunk and Donnie being there that day, it would have never happened. My life has been a mess ever since, and still to this day, they won't help me. They won't let me go to any rehab. I guess I'm just a monster in their eyes." End quote. Derek was granted youthful offender status in connection with his case, which was sealed, and he only served 3 years behind bars. But he does have to register as a sex offender for life. And I truly hope that it's not all just talk with Derek. I truly hope he ends the cycle there. I'm sure what he went through was horrific, but he can't allow this to continue to happen. He can't continue to create victims if he is to walk out there, because I'm sure, as a lot of you know, and I'm sure a lot of you may agree with, I don't believe predators should be let out. I don't think the punishments are harsh enough that are out there, but if Derek is to be walking our streets, I truly hope it ends there. I hope that is the last of it. As winter fell in Alabama, Chessie took to the news to ask hunters to keep their eyes peeled while they were out in the woods. Flyers would be produced reading, quote, "While traveling to and from your hunting areas, please be on the lookout." End quote. Chessie also encouraged people to spread the word and bring her daughter home for Christmas. A photo was shown of a Christmas tree in Chessie's home and how she decorated it with Britney's favorite holiday memories. Chessie saying, quote, "It has been 6.5 months since Britney's been missing. If you know anything, I don't care how small it is. Please let someone know, because I really do believe that certain people know what happened to my daughter. Nobody knew what to do. I mean, what do you tell a 2-year-old? We thought this was going to be very short-lived. We're just going to find Britney, wherever, and bring her home." And now she's saying, "Mama's been at the store for a very long time. I think she's buying everything in the store. Can you tell her to come home?" End quote. Just how sad. What do you tell a 2-year-old child when their mother is missing? That truly is awful. I could not imagine. But after Christmas, shockingly, Chessie herself would also be arrested and charged after a 10-year-old girl came forward claiming that Chessie had essayed her in 2009. The victim claimed that Chessie and Donnie had been having sex when they called the minor back to the bedroom and forced her to join. Detective Terry Hall of the Mobile County Sheriff's Office said the department had been investigating Chessie Wood since the then 14-year-old had come forward with the allegations in January of 2013. The abuse is believed to have happened only one time, according to investigators. Hall said the victims came forward while getting help in Mobile and Baldwin counties, saying, quote, "The alleged abuse took place in Mobile County," saying, quote, "Our victim is extremely matter of fact. She's just very courageous in this whole thing, and I know she's telling the truth." End quote. Chessie has refuted the charges, stating that she raised 5 children and she would never touch a child inappropriately. She adamantly denies them all. She also says that she never had sex with Donnie or touched any of her nieces and nephews, vowing, quote, "I believe that they're going to arrest everyone in this family, whether they did anything or not. I need to find my daughter. I can't do it in here. All I can think of, if I ever go behind bars, I'll never find her. Nobody's going to look for her like me. Please look for my daughter. Don't let this deter anything. If she was here, she could clear all of this up. She would come and tell the truth about everything. Everyone knows my daughter was one of the biggest victims. I don't even know who the victim's supposed to be. These kids are so messed up from what the real perpetrators have done to them. I don't blame the child. They've been brainwashed for years." End quote. I don't know what to think about Chessie being arrested. I'm honestly not surprised. It seems like every single person in this family, there's something. And you want to believe the victim, especially when there's this many allegations flying. More charges would also come in the following months for various other individuals. It was just a sick mess. November of 2013, police would execute a search warrant at the home of Wendy Holland, Brittney's aunt, where they discovered electronic storage devices believing to hold CSAM. It wouldn't be until this point in time that authorities would announce that it was all connected to the SA investigations. When it comes to further evidence, in 2014, a 5-acre property was searched in Theodore, an area south of where Chessie lived, for signs of her, but they would end up coming out empty-handed.
All the way to the back and start our search coming forward.
With a plan,
That we know that you're the awesome God.
a prayer, and shovels in their hands, Chessie Wood, Julie Thomas, and a handful of others set out to search the wooded area across from Travis Road Baptist Church in Mobile County for any trace of Brittney Wood.
We have covered this whole road of Travis Road, except for this spot, because many years ago when we were here, we got a lead that took us off of Travis Road, and we have realized that, so we came back to eliminate this area.
Wood hasn't seen her daughter since May of 2012. Authorities say Brittney went missing after visiting her uncle Donald Holland Sr. in Baldwin County. He committed suicide just days later. Like Wood, Thomas knows the pain of missing a loved one. Her daughter-in-law, Daniela Vian, hasn't been seen for over 3 months now. That common denominator has brought the two together.
She reached out and just basically let me know that she's been there. You know, she knows what it's going to be about, and she was there for me if I needed her, and I have needed her.
When Daniela came up missing, she was a young mother, and I connected to her, so I reached out to Julie, and she keeps saying I was there for her, but she's been there for me also.
A bond between the women that they wouldn't wish on anyone else. But it's that same bond that gets them through.
She's been doing it for 6 years, and she's still doing it, so that tells me that, you know, I need to have that as well. You know, regardless of what it takes, we just need to keep going until we find them.
And although today's 11-acre search turned up empty of any clues, Wood says she'll never stop searching.
It's been 6 years, and her daughter is getting older by the day. So we want answers for my grandbaby. That was my answer 6 years ago, and it'll never change. This is all for my grandbaby.
The police department had also found evidence in a car that was thought to be connected to Brittney's disappearance, but nothing came of that.
Brittney's father says he wants answers in his daughter's case.
It's just been way too long. It's been way too long. 2 years is way too long to not know where your daughter is, where her body is, what happened to her, what exactly happened to her.
Today, officials told Fox 10 they are getting more leads to finding Brittney's body.
Yeah, you know, the police department released today that they had taken in a vehicle that they had seized a couple of months ago that they're running tests over. And I think what that really shows is that the investigation is still extremely active, that the authorities are still looking into every possible angle.
A thread of hope for a family in mourning for 2 long years.
In 2018, Brittney's now 8-year-old daughter would speak to reporters. Her stepmother would also be interviewed, saying, quote, "I want to make sure Brittney's name will always be known. If nothing else, I don't want anyone to forget the name Brittney Wood. And that's why we're here doing what we do. Because we can't allow these people's names to be forgotten, and we need to try to spread the word to those who have answers." End quote.
And this is not giving us Brittney today, but this is a victory for Brittney.
Was there ever any discussion about her trading a lighter sentence for information about Brittney?
That we don't know.
Would you have been satisfied with that?
If it would have brought us Brittney, possibly. But y'all saw during her trial there was no emotion. She has no conscience. She didn't even try. She didn't even try today. She had no emotion. She had no emotion when the letter was read from her victim.
And you heard what the judge said about her as well as Brownlee.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate description, or what do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hope would resurface in 2020 when an age-enhanced photo of Brittney sparked a new tip, leading investigators to a residence in Grand Bay. Cadaver dogs picked up a scent in the area, which led them to digging at a site. But yet again, nothing was found. In the fall of 2021, Peacock released a documentary called Monster in the Shadows, a docuseries which featured Chessie, along with other family members and friends, explaining the details and circumstances surrounding Brittney's disappearance and how the case has evolved over the years. And now here we are at the end of 2025 with no new answers and Brittney still not found.
It's one of the Gulf Coast's biggest mysteries. Nearly 10 years later, we still don't know what happened to Brittney Wood. The girl seen in this video vanishing in May 2012, never seen or heard from again. The then 19-year-old left behind a little girl who's now growing up without a mother.
I don't want to leave this world with her baby growing up trying to figure out who did it and where her mommy is.
Chessie Wood is Brittney's mom. Her determination to get answers never wavering.
This was the last place Brittney Wood was ever seen or heard from.
But now this new docuseries set to be released this month is shining a whole new light on the case nearly a decade in.
I hope it leads to new leads and helps me find my daughter after all these years.
The 3-part documentary called Monster in the Shadows takes a fresh look at the disappearance of Brittney.
This case just sort of jumps to the top.
Thomas Leader is the man behind the project. He sifted through thousands of possible stories to profile before landing on Brittney's.
It was filmed pretty much over 3 years, and we do go on this journey, and we do ground penetrating radar on a concrete slab, which Brittney's mum, Chessie, has wanted to search.
In 2012, the then 19-year-old mother was last seen at her uncle's house near Styx River. That same uncle, Donnie Holland, killed himself just days later. Police believe he's the prime suspect. In the months after Brittney's disappearance, nearly a dozen of her family members were arrested, some later prosecuted in Mobile and Baldwin counties as part of a child sex abuse ring.
At the end, you're going to wonder who did it. It's not going to be, oh, Donnie did it, because that's not the truth. We don't know.
The title of the docuseries, Monster in the Shadows, comes from a quote from a victim of the sex abuse case.
If you can't trust your family, who can you trust? Now, looking back, they would have been more safe at the crack house.
The series talks to many people involved, working to uncover what happened.
I hope that this documentary can maybe bring us closer to finding that truth.
Hey, y'all. See your birthday party. I ain't getting nothing. Go ahead, tell them who you are. I'm Brittney.
In the time since Brittney vanished, there have been dozens of searches for her, but still nothing that points to exactly where she is.
I promised her that I would not give up ever until I take my last breath, and if this documentary's it, which we're praying it may be, you never know, we were willing to give it a shot.
The docuseries hits the Peacock streaming platform next Thursday, August 26th. Chessie tells me even though she has not found Brittney yet, she has started planning a funeral for the 10th anniversary of her disappearance.
It's just a terrible, tragic story all around. And although there is the theory that Donnie most likely did something to Brittney, we don't actually know that for 100% until Brittney is found and, the investigation can continue. And at the end of the day, Brittney's daughter deserves to know what happened to her mother. She deserves to be able to bury her mother and be able to go somewhere to see her mother. But as of now, none of that can happen unless Brittney is found. So as her stepmother has said, the goal is to continue spreading the word, especially so Brittney's name isn't forgotten. So let's take one more good look at her in case it sparks a memory. Brittney is described as a Caucasian woman standing 5'1" tall and weighing 105 pounds with a thin build. She was last seen wearing a blue tank top, blue denim shorts, and flip-flops, and carrying a pink or teal tote bag containing extra clothes, a red curling iron, a makeup bag, and a cell phone. She has dirty blonde, brown hair and blue eyes, with a lip piercing, and the name Peyton tattooed on her left leg. If you have any information as to what happened to Brittney or where her body may be, if she is deceased, please contact the authorities. I'll have the information down below. And as always, I hope you all stay safe out there, lock your windows and doors, and I hope to see you in the next video.